My name is Christy, and this is Angel Talk, where the archangels are real, relevant, and accessible to everyone. I'm so glad you're here. Let's talk. Hey everybody, thank you for being back here with me again. To those of you who've been hanging out with me for a while, if you're new here, thank you so much. I'm so glad you found me. My name is Christy Michelle Riggs, and this is Angel Talk. I'm very happy to have you here. Here in a safe place where we can learn and ask questions and share. And like I've said before, but please interact with me. Please comment. Please send me messages. And if you ask me a question and I don't know the answer, I will do everything I can to point you in the right direction, and we'll find out together. So, how are we hanging in there? It's it's been something. It's been intense. I actually started to feel the energies subside a little bit yesterday, and then today has been a little easier. But we have a lot that's getting ready to come up. We have a lot of events. Kind of have what I consider the event of the summer, the Lionsgate portal. And if you don't know what the Lionsgate portal is, I'm going to be doing a whole message just specifically about that. So be sure that you keep an eye out for that. I'm going to try to have that up tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening sometime. But it's very, very important that we understand what's available to us, and also understand our feelings, and the energies that are going to be coming in, that are going to be available to us to work with, can get pretty intense. And I again, none of this is scary, but it can feel frightening if you don't know what's going on and the purpose behind it. So we're going to be talking about that in a whole message. I actually get really excited for the Lionsgate portal because my birthday falls right in the middle of the more, what am I trying to say? When it peaks on August the 8th, and then it closes on the 12th, and my birthday's on the 10th. So, it's an intense time for me, but I have learned that a lot of growth and a lot of expansion has occurred for me during that time, consistently. So I get really excited for it, because there is a lot available to us during that time. Now, we'll also have the full moon in Aquarius on August the 3rd, so there'll be a message for that. There'll be the monthly message for the month of August, and then of course the angel awareness for the first week of August. So a lot of fun things coming up, a lot of energy to work with, a lot of things to be aware of. So let's dive right in. We're working with the Archangel Metatron Self-Mastery Oracle. Again, we've been working with that the whole month. Metatron has been really giving us a lot of good encouragement, a lot of good awareness, just a lot of perspective on things, because that's really what these energies are calling us to do, is expand through a shift in perspective. What we have to understand is that we can literally recreate or create a new reality. We can create a new reality through a shift in perspective. And how that happens is when you look at something from a different perspective and you have a different awareness of it, it changes your emotions, how you feel. It changes how you feel about something. And because our emotions are so powerful, our feelings create our beliefs. And when you change the way you feel about something, you have a different belief about it, then you have changed your reality, past, present, and future. So, when you really look at it like that and you kind of get your head around that, there's an opportunity there for us to do an incredible amount of healing and an incredible amount of soul evolution and expansion, growth. There are limitless possibilities because there are limitless perspectives that we can look at something from. So it's really important that we stay open, that we not let the energies of, fear and chaos and the destruction and dismantling of the old way that is going on. It's really important that we not get anchored into that and that we really remain open in a place of being an observer and understanding what's going on and the purpose behind it. And if we can really stay in that place, then we can be very open to looking at things from a different perspective. And I'll tell you, Archangel Michael, throughout my journey, has helped me tremendously with that. Michael and Metatron have really worked together with me, and Raphael too. Michael has been the one to kind of, almost like you would a child, like if you're trying to get them to look in a certain direction and they're looking in a different direction, and you kind of gently take them by the shoulders and just kind of turn them around to where what you want them to look at and the direction that you want them to be faced in. And that's what Archangel Michael did for me. And he would say, I would kind of get stuck in, places of unforgiveness or places of not understanding or places of, just having my blinders on and seeing things through one lens. And it was the lens of hurt, or frustration, and he would take my shoulders like that and say, come look from over here. See it from this way and see what you think. And it would create a whole new reality, because I would, see something or understand something that just changed everything. It would help me look at it through a place of compassion, or a place of like, well, oh, now, my goodness, I didn't know that before. And that changes the way I feel about that. I just didn't know. And there are, an infinite number of perspectives that you can look at something from, because the way that they showed it to me is, time is not linear. Nothing is linear. We have a linear construct of things here on earth to help us make sense and order of things, but even that, we're being called to shift that. We're being called to change that, because nothing in actuality is linear. It's cyclical and more of like a spiral. And so if you think of a circle, there are infinite number of points around that circle where you can view something, or you can see something from, or understand something from. And then if you even look at it from a higher place than the circle, once I understood the concept of looking at it in that way, then they said, okay, now come up, here's some more expansion. Let's look at it from up here. And you look at it from a place of a spiral. And so there are infinite, a spiral will come around in a circle, but then loop back around itself in a bigger circle, and then keep on going around that way. And so if there are infinite number of places along, or infinite number of perspectives on that circle, and then when you get around, you may have looked at it from every single perspective along that circle, and then you loop around again, and you get an even higher perspective. So sometimes we're drawn back to look at even the same things and the same themes or the same, hurts and traumas that, we may have done a great deal of healing work with already. Then those things will be like reintroduced and will kind of trigger us again. And I used to, get kind of frustrated with myself and upset and think, well, I thought that I'd already worked with that. Am I regressing? Or I thought I'd already, I thought this had already been, dealt with and moved through. And so I would get really kind of disheartened, thinking that in some way I had regressed, or that maybe I was just kidding myself that I had healed from that. And the angels would say, no, we're moving you to a higher place of consciousness, where it means that you did so well with the first, moving through it the first time, that now you're on that second or that third or that, wherever it was on the loop of that spiral, and you're going to get a higher and higher perspective of it each and every time. So it's really important that we understand that, and that we're willing to be open to look at things from new perspectives, and that we're willing to revisit things as they're naturally, reintroduced into our field or into our awareness, and that we not get discouraged when that happens. That what is happening is it's an opportunity to say, okay, I'm not failing here. I did so well on the first loop around, that now I'm being offered an opportunity to look at it from an even higher perspective, and to work with it even work with it in an even different, a more expansive way. Okay, so and the other thing is, with these energies that are coming in, and all of the things that all these events that we have happening with the Lion's Gate and the full moon, it's really important that we are grounding the energy. And what I mean by that is just literally what it says, put your feet on the ground, put your bare feet on the ground somewhere, on grass, or on the earth. This is something that I really, really have to remind myself to do, because, I spend my comfort zone. I spend a great deal, the majority of my time, up in the higher, chakras. And if you don't ground that energy, it can start to make you feel kind of yucky physically. It can move from a place of really high vibration and very exciting and very expansive. It can move from that to anxiety very quickly. So it's really important that we ground. Even if you can just do it for a few minutes, to actually just take your shoes and socks off, find a place, a patch of dirt or grass or something, anywhere, and put your feet on the ground. The other thing is, if you are in a situation where you cannot do that, it's just not possible for you to do that. If you have physical limitations, or just limitations for whatever reason, the angels also have told me, and this actually does work, because I've used it from time to time. You can eat grounding food, anything that grows in the earth. Like for me, I would eat red potatoes. I just go, to the local grocery store and get some organic red potatoes and fix those and eat them. And that actually helps quite a bit with grounding as well. And you can do the two in combination together. If you put your feet on the grass for just a few minutes, and then you can eat a little bit of grounding food, and every little bit helps. It's also very important that you're actually getting out into the sunshine in the first place to receive more of these energies and these light codes because it's coming in via light. So it's really important that you do anything that you can to at least have the sunshine on your face, on your head. Just be in the sunshine for at least a few minutes every day, even if it's just to sit by a window. I do that. I actually moved my office around to where the window was not behind me anymore, and I can actually see out the window, and the sun will come in and hit, on the side of my face. And that's been very helpful. I can tell a huge difference since I did that. So I wanted to give you guys that before we get started here. And I also wanted to remind us all of this. The Metatron has reminded me that we have to look at this process like a labor and birth. And draw that correlation to it, and that will really help us to understand the influx and outflux of energies that we're experiencing. So when a woman is experiencing labor, the entire process from start to finish gets more intense overall as you go. And then within that entire experience of building intensity from the onset of labor to birth, there are the contractions, which are very intense, and then you have, a few minutes or a few seconds, depending on where you are in the process, in between those contractions, where you can catch your breath and relax for a moment. But the whole process continues to build in intensity. So that's a really great way to think of what we're experiencing with these energies now, because, like I said, yesterday and today I have felt, especially yesterday, I have felt a little bit of a release of the intensity, but it's still an intense process. And then as we have the Lionsgate portal opening up tomorrow, but it will really peak in its intensity the 8th through the 12th of August. And then we have this full moon in Aquarius, and then just the whole process of 2020, the awakening. The whole thing is going to get more intense as we go, and then within that, we're going to have periods of the intense contractions, and then a little bit of a release, and then another intense contraction, and then release. So if we can think of it like that, I find that to be very helpful. So the card that Metatron has given us for this week is card number 47, and it says Blessings and Thanks, Abundant Universe. Now 47 breaks down to an 11, the master number 11 in numerology. And the numerology of the number 11 is all about spiritual expansion, enlightenment, a new way of looking at things, new perspectives, soul mission, divine life purpose, all of those kind of things. It's also the number associated with twin flames, and so that's going to be significant. Both of those things are going to be significant about the number 11 as we dive into this message. So what Metatron has for us with this message is to draw our attention to gratitude. The energy of gratitude is what manifests abundance. And that is because the fundamental laws of the way the universe works, remember, we have talked many times before, whatever you give your focus to will act like a magnet to draw more of those things into your reality, it will multiply those things, pull more of its own kind to it. So if as we go along in this process and we see the dismantling of the old, and we see lots of things that we could be very triggered by, and lots of places that have the potential to bring out an energy in us of fear or anger or frustration, or thinking about all of the things that are wrong, then, like we've talked before, if we get stuck there and participate in that no growth is going to come from that, because we're just feeding the same energy that we think we're fighting against. But because things are cyclical or spiral in nature, it's just a different way of expressing. It's just a different polarity of the same energy that we're feeling like we don't want. We're feeding that. So what we have to do is find a place of gratitude in any moment, in any situation. And now, I understand. I can tell you firsthand that I understand that there are some of you, a lot of you, that are experiencing things in your life that you're sitting there going, there is nothing about this to be grateful for. I cannot, you're crazy if you think that I can find anything about this to be grateful for. And I can tell you, I know I've been there. And with several different things. A couple years ago, my mother was diagnosed with colorectal cancer, and I remember getting that phone call from my Aunt Jeannie that she had cancer. And this is a cancer that kills a lot of people. Now, you just have to know my mother. She's tough. She's tougher than most people give her credit for. She came through it beautifully. But at that time, when I got that news, and in the days and weeks as she was beginning her chemo and radiation, it was very difficult to find anything to be grateful for about that. And I had this awareness of, okay, I gotta stop focusing on this worry, because if I focus on worry and sadness, then I'm just going to manifest more things to be worried and sad about. And I've got to find a place. I've got to find something, anything that I can be grateful for about this. And as this progressed, as her treatment progressed, I found that what I was grateful for was that it really changed a lot. It softened me so much toward my mother, and the things that she and I have had to work through to try to heal in sometimes a very strained relationship at times. And so what I realized that her getting cancer had done was just kind of evaporated all of that, because it was like all of this stuff that I thought that had mattered and that was so it was consuming so much of my energy. Even as I worked through the healing process, it was still, I would have these frustrations that would come up and these feelings that I still needed to work through. And all of that stuff from the past just kind of evaporated, because all that mattered was my mom is sick and I don't want her to die. And I realized I have absolutely no control over that. And here, what if she passes away? And all that, I just was like, it was so, I became so aware of how much time had been spent in us being at odds, and how sorry I was for that I it was like it didn't matter that some of that was for valid reason, and all of it was like none that just didn't even matter anymore, because I was face to face with the reality that she may not at that time, thinking she may not have very much time left, and that I just wanted to spend. I just didn't want that anymore. I did not want the arguing. I did not want the hurt feelings. I didn't want any of that anymore for us. And so I was able to be very grateful for that, and for the shift that caused in within me and within our relationship. I have a 21-year-old son, in his senior year of high school, right just a few weeks after he turned 18. He was involved in a very tragic accident where a man's life was lost, and I won't go into detail about it out of respect both for my son and for the family of the man that lost his life. But he is now currently incarcerated because of that accident, and that was when he was first taken into custody. That because he had been on house arrest for 2 years prior to that. And so when he was taken into custody in November, this past November, that was one of the most challenging things that I've ever experienced, and I've experienced some things. It was, and I was at a place in my spiritual growth then where, I was teaching others, how to get through difficult times, and it was like in those first few days I couldn't get hold of. I couldn't. There was nothing I could find to be grateful for about that, and then I was able to go and visit him for the first time. And I remember our first visit, and this glass was between us, and it was just, I had promised myself I wasn't going to cry, and then I cried, of course. And it was a few weeks that he was in there before I was actually able to sit down with visit with him. And I could tell as soon as I sat down that there was a difference in him. And he started to tell me about this man that was in his pod or his group in there that was sharing some things about spirituality and about some things that Taylor was getting very excited about. He said, "Mom, it just helps me to understand, like, different things that have happened in my life and why I'm here right now and why this happened." And I can remember the drive home from that visit and just being like, "Oh my God, this is what I've prayed for. This is what I've prayed for all of my children, but of the three of them, I was most concerned about Taylor and his awakening, not knowing how that was going to happen, but just praying that it would." And here he sat in a jail, and it was happening. And a few weeks later after that, he wrote me a letter. And it was the most beautiful letter. I still have it here. I keep it in a little letter box on my desk. And he wrote me this letter telling me that, there were a lot of hurts, a lot of things that the kids and my children, I needed to work through. And is this later telling me how there was another man, a different man in his pod that was closer to my age and had been able to share with him some things that gave him perspective on some of the decisions that I'd made that I regret very much, from a time that I was operating from very much from a place of not being healed, and very much a place of not knowing what to do with all the emotions of trauma. And he writes me this letter saying that this man had been talking to him and sharing with him some things about him and his children, and that he wanted to tell me that it was okay and he understood, and that he was so proud of me for the work that I'm doing now. And I can't tell you as a mother the gratitude that welled up in my heart for that. And so when that first happened and he first was taken into custody, and I thought there was no way that there was anything about that I could find to be grateful for. And then, sure enough, that was a situation that the universe, that God and the angels were using to bring tremendous amounts of healing and to bring about his spiritual awakening. And for that, I am eternally grateful. So if we can shift our perspective and we can find the gratitude, the place to be grateful, the place of gratitude in any moment, in any day. And there is always something about it to be grateful for, even in the most horrific moments. You just may not be able to find it at the time. Ask the angels and they will help you. Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, Archangel Raphael, they will come in and they will take you by the shoulders and they'll bring you around and say, look at it from here. See it from here. Because everything is always working for our highest and greatest good. And the more that we find to be grateful for, that's going to act like a magnet and draw more things to us into our reality to be grateful for. And I'll tell you, if you do that enough, you'll start to see everything as a miracle. You start to look at the eyes, look at the world through the eyes of a child. And when it talks in the Bible about approaching the gates of heaven through the eyes of a child, that's what it means. Is finding, it's not a naive place, it's not a childish place, it's with childlike wonder and with the openness of a child, that there's possibility in every moment. And that you see the miracle in just everything. So that's what Metatron has for us for this week, is actively choose to be in a place of gratitude, and see how quickly that more things to be grateful for don't start to come into your reality. I can tell you firsthand that you will be amazed and you will be blessed by it. Thank you again for being here with me. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. If you haven't already, or if you just want to go back again, you can visit the website at www.christymichelleriggs.com. You can listen to this again on the website. You can book a session with me. I have a variety of sessions for personal readings, different healing sessions, intuitive coaching, counseling sessions. The book Radical Love is going to be available on my birthday, August 10th. There'll be a book, a journal, and a card deck that all go together, or you can just buy the book separately. You can find me on Instagram at Christy Michelle Riggs, Facebook, Christy Michelle Riggs. Like I've said before, I'm very easy to find. I kept it simple for you. And then I have another website, Angel Bee. It's angel-b.com, B-E-E like a bumblebee. And then for that, I'm on Facebook at AngelB1111 and Instagram at Christy.AngelB. Now, the other thing I want to say just before we go here is I understand that a lot of you, including myself, are in very challenging places in relationships. And Metatron's given me the message just as I was closing this out that he wants to encourage us to start to make a mental list or a written list. It would even be better in it, like a journal, to think of things that we are grateful for about our partners, or even those that we are in separation from. Because he is reminding me that it's a very difficult time for a lot of people, myself included, because of that. So he wants us to just continue the theme of gratitude, even in those difficult relationship situations, to think about all the things that we are grateful for, about those people and about the situations that we're in now. So I love each and every one of you, and I look forward to talking to you again very soon about the Lionsgate, the messages for August, the angel awareness for the first week of August, and then the full moon in Aquarius on August the 3rd. So lots of good stuff coming up. Be sure that you come back and hang out with me again. Thank you so much. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and we will talk again soon.
I am not an island. I want to feel the connection coming out of